What's good? Yeah, what's good, y'all? Good start. This is Robert, and thank you for tuning into the show. Well, my hand is like really, but regardless, thank you for tuning in. Uh, Great introduction already, but yeah, we're just here today. This is my third interview for today, so yeah,
Lucky
just
number
staying
three.
strong. Just got a
Yeah.
lot of endurance inside of me, so. Today, we're just going to do some more stretches and get right into this. So, we have Emma O'Neill. You've seen her around social media. I know that she's been doing this for a long time. You've seen her on pretty much most of the social platforms. Like, I know you've probably seen her around. So, we're just going to be chatting a little bit and just discuss what's been going on, and we're just going to discuss, like, the nitty gritty, like, what does the future hold and all that good stuff. But before we can get to that, I wanted to ask you, how has this year been for you? Because I know we're kind of in October and January has come and passed, and now we're almost approaching the end of the year. So, how's your 2023 so far?
2023 has been interesting. I mean, every year is different. Every year brings different challenges and different opportunities, and this year has not been any different in that sense. Um, there's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of learning. There's been upgrades to booths, which has been great. I got this sucker this year. I changed my office space completely. So this was a huge change for me, and it made a big difference in my work. But things have been decent.
Oh
How about you?
yeah. Yeah, it's been pretty decent. Like, I know we were kind of exchanging emails like earlier this year, but of course, life happens, and I think that's pretty much is pretty telling of how 2020 my 2023 was. Um, but it's been pretty good. Like, I just am in the process of, I've mentioned this before, making a demo website, getting the business going. So, that's kind of been top priority for the last couple months, and still keeping track of, just staying on top of everything in here, with booth renovations and also just
Mm.
getting those auditions in. Um, and the best part about it is that, like, you can literally do this, in your PJs. So I guess that's the one
Best
plus
part.
that, yeah,
Yes.
that's the one plus of, I mean, discussed about, I know that some of y'all are sick of hearing about the pandemic. Like, trust me, I am too. But really, one of the, pluses, is, recording from home and just wear your PJs and just, or if it's a hot summer day, literally doing it in your boxers. Like, literally, trust me, it happens.
Get
Yeah,
sweaty.
those hot,
True.
sweaty days.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
And trust me, here in LA, it does get pretty hot. So just gotta do what you gotta do. And hey, it's good workout for stamina. You're
Mm-hmm.
just sweating. If you're not exercising, this could be good for, I mean, of course, you definitely got to take care of your voice. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a no doubt moment. But yeah, let me see. So I know that this year has kind of been like, it's been pretty decent. I know that it's been a pretty good year for a lot of people because, like, we're booking a lot of stuff, and it's kind of been on hold because of, what's been happening right now with striking and stuff, which is a whole separate discussion in and of itself. So I guess what we're going to focus on today, it's so I'm not going to ask like the generic how did you get into this, blah 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 blah, but instead I'm just going to ask you in particular, like, with what you've been doing this year, like, um it's just kind of been like, with so many different projects, so many different clients. And I guess my first question is, how do you build like a long cultivating, like a maintaining relationship with, colleagues, peers, clients? Because I know a lot of actors are still that are just getting their start. They want to know, what is the main thing that you want to do if you want to make connections in the industry? So I guess we could just start with that as our first, discussion for today.
There are so many different ways to make connections in the industry. I mean, social media being one of them. LinkedIn is a great source. Conferences are an invaluable
Yeah, yeah,
source
yeah.
of networking and connections, and it's just because in-person things are so much different. They're very different than online networking. Online networking is its own beast, and then there's in-person networking. And but at the end of the day, both are about relationship. They're about talking to a person, not talking to a person about what can you give me or what job can you get me. Um, the vast majority of people that I work with, that I have worked with for extended periods of time, we are friends at this point because we don't talk about work. We talk about, unless we're having like a, I need to vent about this moment, but it's not about
Mhm.
what job can you hire me on. It's how are your kids? How's your dog? How was your vacation? Speak to people as people, and people really do enjoy talking about themselves. So the more you, when you meet a potential client, the more you ask them about themselves, the more engaged they are in the conversation because it shows that you are interested in them. And if you, one trick, it's not a trick, it's a kind of just a, it's a fun thing to know. If you know you're going to meet someone, do a little research on them so that when you're asking questions, like you said, you're not asking the question of, so how did you become a screenwriter? Or how did you become a, an advertising executive? You're asking them genuine questions about who they are as a person. And that's when you endear yourself to somebody, they want to be around you, and that you then you're top of mind when it comes to, oh, wait a second, Emma's a voice actor, and we were talking about dogs the other day, and there's this great spot about dogs, and I think she'd be really good on it because when we were talking about our dogs, we were really excited about the dogs. So, and you're just top of mind because you treated the person as a person instead of a commodity. So it's that's one of the things. Yeah, social media, conferences, talking to people like people, and I'm easy to work with. I don't argue with people in the booth. I don't give my opinion in the booth. I am the talent, I am the voice, I am not the creative, unless it's a creative process and they ask for my opinion. But I'm trying to make it as efficient and clean and enjoyable as possible for people to work with me.
Absolutely 100%. Um, it's really funny because, like, you mentioned dogs. Like, whenever I meet, like, an actor or if I'm interviewing, like, either on the podcast or just, like, in online, like, or at a conference or something, like, we would really start bonding, really truly start bonding. Like, I mean, I have posters everywhere. We would talk about video games, or we just talk about food, and then
Food,
sooner
we
or
could
later,
talk
it's
about
like,
food for days. Exactly. It's like, what's
dude,
your
yeah, it's
favorite?
literally food. It's
Yeah.
always because we all love to eat.
So excited about it. Like if you're a foodie, if you really like food and you're like, oh my God, have you
Yeah.
been to this place? I love Thai food. Have you been to this Thai restaurant? It's the best. And we can go on for days about it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like literally for me, I just started getting like eating like, try different stuff like Mexican food, Italian. Like I just had spaghetti last night for dinner. So, it's kind of like what restaurants are you into? And like seriously, it's like you mentioned, like you like dogs. You just don't know like if you strike up a conversation about it and then somebody might have you in mind for a dog spot. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like what I was discussing, like in the other interviews that I was literally just doing today. It's like you just never know what you're gonna end up doing, what connections you'll end up making, or the friendships you'll make along the way, or it could be something that you'll end up working with a client that might just be looking for that somebody to make a spot for them. You
Mhm.
just never know
Yep.
because every day is not like this industry can be really unpredictable. Like, let's just be real here. Like, one day you're going to be working 9 to 5 nonstop, and then there's going to be days or weeks that go by, and you're focusing on getting yourself out there, like auditioning. If you're not already working with a previous client, or da 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 da, however it goes, like we're always doing something VO related. And you just don't know what the next day is going to bring. Like today might be good, tomorrow we don't have any control over it. The best thing we could do is just continue having fun and making the best of what we can do to the best of our abilities. Make each day, good or make it even better than the mood that you're currently feeling right now. That's pretty much the best thing that you could possibly do. Make each day magical. But yeah, it's kind of like it is really interesting that you did touch upon that because like you could just be talking to somebody, and the next thing you know, you get like an email saying, "Hey, I want you for this. You might be good for this part for a show that they're doing." And it's like, "Oh." And then you're like really surprised, and it's like, "Sweet, okay." And then bonus points if you book it. But the fact that you even got that opportunity is like, yeah, that's just amazing in and of itself, you know? It's like I'm just grateful. And it's about gratitude as well, like being grateful for what you get and just how many people are thinking of you, that they've had you in mind. Like even if you don't book it, you know, there's always next time. I think that's kind of the way that I approach it. Like you send out an audition, don't hear back, and then you move on to the next, and then every once in a while you get an email saying you booked this thing, and I'm like, what did I do again? Like you have no idea how common this really is. Whereas like you've auditioned for something like months, and then literally sometime later it's like, oh, okay, what did I do? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of word marble right now. um, but I know that with your branding, like I think that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. It's with your branding, you kind of it's like you said, you want to be easy to work with, no nonsense, and you want it's being really honest and truthful. And I think that's something that not too many people I'm really surprised that not I mean, there has been discussions about like, honesty and being yourself, but there's not a lot that is discussed like, on podcast episodes because we usually discuss the business, the essential stuff, but we don't talk about, what you can offer, what you like if what Emma can bring, what Robert can bring, it's just being authentically you. And I'm not sure that really gets discussed as often, where it's like, we can be like, oh, we discuss about influences, but really, the bottom line is, what can you offer to the table? And I think that's something that is highly essential. And I think that should be very, very important for actors. I mean, especially if they're getting started, if they're kind of having like imposter syndrome or whatever it is. And it's like, oh man, I wish I was da 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 da. No. Um, what is something that you can bring to the table? Don't copy what somebody, I mean, you can take influence and you can kind of steal like a little bit of what they brought, but really, the clients and what the directors or the studios want to hear is your own unique sound. And I think that's something that I have to address because I don't really see it discussed very often. I mean, personally for me. But what are your thoughts? I kind of been rambling on for like 5 minutes.
I don't know what the question is, so what
So
would you?
like the question was, um, so basically it's along the lines of like, so what is something that you can offer to the table? Like, what is something that makes you unique and stand out, essentially? That would
My
be my
life
question.
experience. Everybody is unique, everybody stands out, everybody is their own person. It's about standing in your truth and not trying to be somebody else or not trying to sound a particular way. You sound the way that you sound because that's the way that you speak. My voice was formed by being born in Ireland and learning how to speak there and then moving to Canada and having kids make fun of me, so I developed a Canadian accent really quickly, but I had a parent that wouldn't allow us to say A, which at the time was very annoying. And as an adult, we are extremely grateful that every time we said A, which is a Canadianism, my mother responded with B. So none of us say A. And then when I went to university for acting, I studied linguistics and phonetics. So I learned what was we affectionately called SNAN, which was speaking North American naturally. So I have an unidentifiable North American accent. No one can place where I'm from. Um, but what do I bring to the table? I bring 48 years of life experience. I bring 48 years of acting experience. I bring thousands of hours of training to the table. I make things as easy as possible, and I firmly believe my branding, my tagline is as real as they come because I want to just bring to the table the reality of my perspective. and my voice and the stops and starts and the realness and the way that I can bring a story to life. And I absolutely love what I do. Like for me, you were talking about, one day you work and one day you don't work. For me, I work every day because auditioning is working, networking is working, marketing is working. It's not about booking. Booking's great and it pays the bills, but your job is not booking. Your job is to audition. Your job is to
Yeah.
market. Your job is to be doing your thing for whatever hours you decide are your office hours and being effective and efficient and having your to-do lists and doing all the things. It's auditioning is your job. And you need to be able to do it well. And to audition well, you need to have coaches that are constant, or paying attention to what you're doing and giving you constructive feedback and helping you be a better version of yourself, and also and getting out of your own way as well. That when you're working, when you're auditioning, personally, I don't wear cans when I audition because hearing the sound of I have very smooth voice. I could fall in love with the dulcet sounds of my voice. That's not going to book me any job.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it, if only that were the case, but I mean, but still, at the same time, it's like what you touched upon was brilliant. You're literally your own entrepreneur, and you're running your own business, so it's the learning. I literally did an episode with Mark Catchman, and he talks about one of the
great guy.
four, yeah, I know, he's really wonderful. And he talks about the four main legs, essentials of, a voiceover career. And it's and one of the things, and one that really stood out for me, it's growing a business. And like you can have the talent, you can have the pretty gear, and you can have all the essentials, but learning how to market yourself, learning how to get your name out there. And it's so true because booking is not the job. It's auditioning, and it's doing anything that you can in order to sustain, because this is not really a particularly easy career to, like, if you wanted to get into this for the money, no.
You're in the wrong
Mm-mm.
place.
That ain't it. That ain't it. No, like you have to do it because it's something you love, and it's something that, if you wanted to offer something, and thank you for bringing up, like, what is something that you can offer to make the project better? And I've said this in a previous episode. Crispin Freeman also touches upon this. If you listen to his podcast, he touches upon, like, what is something that I can offer that can make the project better? And not approaching it like, oh, I want the job. No, it's more, I mean, if you do that, you're gonna come across as really desperate, and that's gonna be a turnoff. So definitely watch out for that. Also, and it's like check your ego at the door and check your behavior. Like just be nice, easy to work with, and also, you know, definitely having fun, and also know like what's happening. Be informed of what's been going on, which is something that I kind of have been doing for this podcast lately. And this is something that I enjoy talking with actors about. Not only just with their careers, but also like, okay, so etiquettes, everything else. Um, so I was looking, I know I mentioned that I'm not going to do like oh, how did you get started, which is already on your website, but I really do find it really fascinating. Like, you've been in the acting business since you were two, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then you were in that one commercial with the golden arches. And, I'm
You'll
having that
never guess
experience.
what company that is. You'll never guess.
Yeah, you don't know what company even is that. But anyways, I mean, I just had their food like not too long ago. But anyways, so with your experience that you did, like you've done acting, you've done the hippity hoppity, you've done a lot of this other stuff, and then you transitioned into VO. Um, how much would you say that, the experience of, doing these gigs really helped you along the way when you started plunging into VO full time a decade ago? Wow, it feels like, boy, 2012, that was so long ago. But yeah, how would you say that it really helped you along the way, with your journey in particular?
Being an actor since the womb,
Mhm. Yeah. I've
helped.
talked to people that have been literally doing this, like they've signed with an agent before they were, so you
Yeah,
never
it's
know. Yeah.
something that, I mean, my mother was a jack of all trades as well. She was a dancer, and a dance teacher. I mean, she was a hairdresser and she was all of these other things, but she put us on the stage. And there's three of us. I'm the middle child, and my sisters liked it, but it wasn't like, it was like, yeah, it was fun, but not a thing that they wanted to do. Whereas I fell in love with it, and it was where I came to life, was when I was on stage or on set. Um, and then going to school and being classically trained as an actor when I came to voiceover, because it's voice acting, and I think that a lot of people miss that part. They think get the I get told on a daily basis, like, people email me out regularly asking about the industry and saying, I've been told that I have a great voice. And it's like, that's great, but can you act? Because it's voice acting. You're taking somebody else's words that aren't yours, and sometimes they're boring, and sometimes you don't necessarily understand what it is that you're saying, but you have to bring that to life. And for me, that's about being being classically trained. You learn how to break a script down and put it back together, create a pre-life, and being able to do that really quickly. Because in voiceover is really fast. The turnover is really quick. Generally, the voice is the last thing to be done on a project. It's not the first thing. They don't build the show around the voice. They build the the voice is fit into the project, whatever, whether it's commercial or TV promo or TV narration or whatever it is that you're doing, the voice is the last thing to be plugged in. And then just life experience of traveling the world many times over and teaching yoga and doing all the things that I do.
Traveling.
It's when something calls for gravitas, I tap into being a yoga teacher for 25 years, because it's gravitas is about being really comfortable in what you're talking about and being really solid in what you're doing. And I've taught yoga for 25 years. I'm one of the more highly trained yoga teachers in North America. So it's something that I can talk about very, very comfortably and know I know what I'm talking about. So that's what I channel when you see a script that says gravitas, things like that. So yeah, my life experience, everyone's life experience, it forms who you are. It forms your opinions. It forms how you see the world. So when you look at a script, that's why it's beautiful to work in groups when you do group workshops, because you will never have everyone will do the same script and not one person will do it the same way, because everyone has a different perspective. So everyone sees the script in a different way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because everybody, like you said, they can approach an audition or a script. One person is going to read this totally different interpretation than what, X, Y, or Z is going to do. So that's why it's super important. Like if everybody's the same, then it would just be really boring.
Boring. Boring.
Boring. Boring. So, um, yeah, so being behind the microphone, like, I know that you've been doing this since 2012 full time, but um, I know that I'm not sure if this is something that you want to, like, do again anytime in the near future, but I don't know if it's something that you sometimes think about, but do you kind of miss being on the stage, or just this is kind of you're set doing this for your career?
If I was invited to be in, like, Crazy for You, the musical, I would jump at the opportunity. I would be on stage any day, but it's not something that drives me in my daily life. I don't miss set. I don't miss being on set. It was fun. And if the opportunity was presented, I would do it again. But for me, voiceover it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Like, I get to be different characters all throughout the day. It's like today already I've been a doctor, I've been a newscaster, I've been a nurse, I've been a flower salesman, I've been a chemical engineer. Like, I don't even know at this point, between sessions and auditions, I've got to put so many different hats on, and it's so much fun. And sometimes I get to leave the booth and go to somebody else's studio, and that's really fun because you're around other people. But most of the time I'm in my booth in my house, and in my yoga clothes, and I go down and I have snacks, and then I come back up and voice some more stuff and get to talk to people like you, which is great. So
Yeah. Yeah, so let's definitely talk about yoga because something else that I've been also really passionate about is physical fitness and activity, exercising. Like, I'm literally just about to go back to the gym, so I figured yoga would be something that's like I mean, I know I need it.
We all
Because
do.
it's yeah, because it's like you don't want to be in a booth or like just sit all day long. You got to get some activity going on, or just going outside. You know,
Yes.
like I know it's hot and there's a lot of sunshine out there, but it feels so good. Trust me. Even for just like 5, 10, sometimes for an hour, like it really helps your mind, your brain, and it just it rejuvenates you. It really does. So for you, I know you've been a yoga instructor. Can you tell that I do this every day? 25 years. What is something that so I usually ask this for people who often coach or teach. What are some of the biggest like lessons, or what is something that you've really learned? What is something that you learn or get that you really enjoyed the most out of, coaching others and just leading them on their journeys? What is something that you really, um, why does it fulfill you?
Why does
Like,
yoga fulfill me?
yeah, just on a spiritual level.
So many different answers to that question. Yeah, I've been doing yoga for 25 years. Well, yeah, doing yoga for 25 years, teaching for I think it's 23 at this point. Um, and it's the one thing that I've done for the longest period of time. Like I was born acting, I left acting for 10 years and then I came back to it. So I think at this point now, when you look at the years, I've been doing acting and yoga for the same length of time, which shows the love of both of them. Yoga grounds me, it centers me, it helps me deal with anxiety, it helps me deal with problems. If I'm upset, the first thing I do is go and get on my mat and start to move because it helps me come back into balance. Then I'm able to see things from a different perspective. In all of my years practicing and teaching, I went to India many, many times, 13 times actually. I traveled to India for extended periods of time. And India, if you've ever been, you'll understand that it's organized chaos. It's completely insane. It's beautiful and tragic and wonderful and terrible. It's all of these juxtapositions. It's all of these opposites. Um, and it's where I learned patience. It's where I learned that you can't, even if you get like, to not sweat the small stuff. Like one little story, I was at a train station in a tiny little town and I wanted to get out of this town and the train wasn't coming until 2:30. I had a bad experience and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I left my bags at the bag check place at the train station and I kind of wandered off and I came back. The train was supposed to be leaving at 2:15. I got back to the station at 2. 2:15 came and went, 2:30, 2:40, and I was just getting more and more upset and angry and like, "Arr, arr, arr." And the train conductor was walking down the platform and he saw me getting really mad and I was like, "Where's the train? This is ridiculous. It's so late." And he said, "Madam, why are you so angry? It's not going to make the train come any faster." And for whatever reason, that hit in the right way. And from that point forward, I was 23 maybe at that point. I have lived my life in that way. Why get upset about anything that you cannot change? If you can't change it, you can't change traffic. Either don't go out in your car or just sit in traffic and get where you're going whenever you get there because that's just the way that it is. If you can't change it, why get mad about it? So that's one of the things yoga has taught me is you can't change things.
Man,
Well, sorry, you
definitely
can
preach.
change things, but don't get mad about the things that you can't change.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if any of us have learned over the last couple of years, it's like, you know, like it really did teach me, like, it was like kind of a wake up call because we all thought it was going to be like, if we were to go back to 2020, we all thought it was going to be over in 2 weeks, but lo and
Mm-mm.
behold, we're kind of still technically getting COVID. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's like we can continue to fight for, I mean, it's really, I'm not going to get too much into politics, but it's like sometimes we can fight. Like, if we're gonna make things right, sometimes we're trying to make something right when it's something that's out of our control. That's just the reality of it. But for something that's been used in a more positive way, like I know I mentioned what's been going on with SAG and the strikes that are happening right now. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, there's still in negotiations, but all I can know, we can we're we could just only go nowhere but up from here on out. I'm really optimistic. I don't know what's gonna happen, but praying for a better future.
Hmm.
That's pretty much what I'm gonna see. That's pretty much me for right now. That's pretty much has been my whole like life. Like, my attitude is like, okay, whatever happens, always, like, if it doesn't work out, or if something is like, if it goes south, if it gets better, it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait it all out and just pray that there's gonna be at least a silver lining at the end of the tunnel. That's just how I'm
Always
pretty
is.
much, yeah, always. So let me see. Anything else that you want to share? Because I think we've discussed practically everything there is to talk about. I guess you could share like any upcoming projects, or just the clients or people that you really want to give a shout out to for like really being such a huge like inspiration or influence on you, or just anybody that you want to give a shout out to, just any any shout outs or any plugs that you want to, give, now would be the time to do so.
Cool. Well, I host a podcast myself on Tuesday nights on Clubhouse.
Hey.
We will be at, because this Tuesday we have Randall Ryan, who is a guru in the video game world. He is a casting director, he's a booth director, he is an audio engineer, and he's just a genuinely incredible human. He's a kind man. He's an incredible director, and he's worked on some of the biggest games in the world. And he's going to be on Clubhouse at 7:30 p.m. EST, 4:30 p.m. PST on the Clubhouse app at
Time zones are fine.
a voiceover round table, and I host that with Mike Tobin. So that's every Tuesday night. So I would love it if you came and had a lesson. It would be awesome.
Yeah. By the way, I mentioned that aren't time zones fine, because it's like, oh, 7:30, is it Pacific or East?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's something. That's another conversation.
Right?
Working scheduling time zones when it comes to like voiceover, because all of us are remote and all of us are around the world. So, it's like, huh, gotta get that figured out. But, I'm just glad that it worked out for today's interview.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
what are the odds? Yeah, totally. Let me see. Plugs. Let me see. Any last bit of advice? Any last bit of wisdom that you like to bestow upon the audience?
If you're new and you want to get into this industry, vet your coaches. That's one of the reasons that we host the voiceover roundtable, is because we want to bring legit coaches and producers and all of those people to the public's attention. Vet your coaches. Make sure that you're not, if someone gets you to sign up for a bunch of classes with a demo at the end of it, run the opposite direction, because that's generally not the way to
Mm-mm.
go. And don't spend a ton of money when you first start. It's not about the gear. It's about your ability to bring a story to life. So get what you need, learn the industry, understand that it's a business. It can be a hobby, absolutely. If you want it to be a hobby, be a hobby. But if you want to be a voice actor, it's a business, and understand that you have to do all the boring stuff. You have to do invoicing and banking and Excel sheets and all this stuff you don't want to do. That's just part of your daily. So
Yeah. That's pretty much my day-to-day life in a nutshell now. Yeah. Bank and finances, and
yeah.
also investment, demo reels. You gotta, it's like something that is like, if you want to step up your game, it's a huge investment. Yeah, so like, the money that you spend on, like, I don't know. I mean, you can also spend it on like food or just the essentials that you need to survive. And
Yes,
also you
feed
gotta pay
yourself.
the
That's
rent.
good.
Yeah, feed. That's good. And also pay the rent, or
Yes.
pay for housing and stuff. Yeah, like a lot of this stuff, the money that you spend for like video games and stuff like that, that's going to become more of a rarity as you get older, which is the sad reality. But once you start becoming an adult, a lot of the responsibilities, like, there's a lot more responsibilities that you have to do. Like, you have to plan for the future and stuff like that, which is another can of worms altogether. But regardless, knowing, balancing all of this out and still working on voiceover. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all working on something that we just love doing. And I mean, yes, of course, a lot of us have day jobs and you're gonna do stuff that you're not gonna particularly like, but at the end of the day, um, like really doing this for a living is like you wake up every morning and you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually doing this. I'm working with these clients that I never, like a few years ago, I never would have dreamed that I would get to work with, you know?
Mhm.
It's gratitude, you know?
So we
Main
get to
message for today's.
we
Yeah.
get to do this. It's a privilege and it
Yeah.
is a joy. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I guess we can also close out with the little sign that you got on your wall there.
Whatever you're
Yeah.
thinking, think bigger.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the perfect way to close it out. That's my last bit of advice. That's
Yep.
exactly what I was wanting to say when I first saw it.
Yep.
Really good,
Whatever
by the
you're
way.
thinking, think bigger.
Love
Allow
it.
yourself to be you. Allow yourself to live fully in your skin when as you bring the scripts to life. Don't be afraid that it's going to be too big. You got to find your edges. So,
Yeah, and it also helps to find hobbies. I mean, a lot of us we love working, but there's also a little bit of everything, a little bit of a hobby that we do like talk about. You know, food. I'm going back to that again. So I
are
think I'm
you
probably gonna
hungry?
stop. Am I hungry? I literally have a muffin just sitting right there because I had breakfast and now I'm getting hungry again. So guess I'm gonna have something to munch on before I get back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Am I hungry? Am I hungry for are you hungry? Do you want it? That's a good analogy
You
for
hungry?
VO.
Do you
That's
want?
damn, do you want it? Are you having fun? Have fun. Just put up a sign, which I should definitely do. So, accountability stuff, super
Yep.
important. So, anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you, Emma, for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and I think I'm probably gonna rest a bit because I've done like three of these in a row.
You
So,
should. Yes.
yeah, thank you regardless. Um, whatever it is that you're doing this weekend, make it awesome. Kick some serious butt out there. And until then, adios, amigos. And I'll see y'all next time.
Thank you so
Peace.
much.